Welcome to a special episode of Tandaza Mkeka, where we are in Mombasa County and we have with us a very amazing set of guests. And this episode is multifaceted because we want to talk about different variations of how religion, culture, and being Swahili in Mombasa affects all of us. We want to talk about stereotypes, breaking silences, and what we're doing or what has influenced us to be women and our femininity. So welcome everyone to this episode, and I hope you will all be, comfortable on the mat that I have just spread out for you. Nimewatandazia mkeka. Karibuni. So as we start, I'd like to invite our guests to introduce themselves. Title, name, and age, because that's very important, so that while you're talking, we all know which generation you come from and how you navigate those things as part of your generation. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we start there, going this way.
Okay, my name is Sophia Wabosha. I'm 29 years old. I'm born and raised in Mombasa. I have a background in film and media and project management as well. I'm a co-founder of a community-based organization known as Give for Good Kenya, where we advocate for quality education and women and girl issues. And I'm also a Mandela Washington Fellow 2022. And that's all about me now.
Give us all your Denise and follow those links below over here. Dani.
Okay, I'm so glad. This looks going to be so much fun. Yay. So my name is Moldani Njogu. I am a relational and sex therapist. I guess I'm a transplant from Nairobi. I've been here 2 years in a couple of months. And I always have to count how old I am. How old am I? I'm 46. I'm 46. Yeah.
Nice to have you.
Thank you very much for inviting me to come here. My name is Zainab Abud Mohammed. I'm not working anywhere. I'm employer myself, and I'm Mama Mtaa, the elder of the town, Mabitanganyika, and I'm treasury from Majengo Clinic there, so that I'm staying in Mombasa town.
Karibu sana.
Hi, my name is Asi Ahmed. I'm 25 years old, and I was born and raised in Mombasa, and I'm a student at MKU studying social work and community development.
So we have a very diverse group of women, and I'm so excited to have this conversation. I want to start by asking.
Sorry, I forgot. My age is 64 years.
So diverse, you can see the diversity. So like I said, the reason why I want to have this tulikuwa tunatandaza mkeka, I said the reason why we want to spread the word across the generations is thinking about vile mnakaa, like in your kitchen. Those very, very candid conversations mnakuanga nazo mkiwa in the kitchen. That you can't have anywhere else. Very private, very honest, authentic, umeka hapo, grandmother, mother, sisters, auntie. That's how I want us to be here, and just be very honest, in short, family, and think about these questions that I want to ask you very candidly, honestly, and feel free to just express yourself because this is a safe space. The first question nataka tuingie ni, ebu tuambie, are you an Arab? Tell us that. Ebu tuambie tena. I want everyone to hear what you just said.
My grandmom is come from Malawi, and my grandfather, he's coming from Arabic, Yemen. Now, so Arabic and I tell you what, from Malawi. Unaona hapa Mombasa Island. Most of the people si ati Waarabu peke yake. They're mixed culture, but they don't want to say. They don't want to say. People, they say, I'm Arabic, but it's not truth. Most of them, they come mixed Arabic and Swahili culture. So ndio mimi ningependelea sana uambie kama watoto wako ama mtu wako mwambie ukweli. Kwa sababu ile mtoto atajua culture yake. Kama ukimwambia ni Mwarabu, anajua ni Mwarabu tu. Kwa zile tabia za Kiarabu peke yake. Lakini kama utachukua umwambie mtoto wako ukweli wa kuwa is not Arabic, unaona kabla nyingine ndani. Pengine Mijikenda tunasema ni Mdigo, Mdiruma, Mgiriama. Those called Mijikenda. Alafu Arabic is only Arabic. India is called India. So unakuta mtu anataka hizi kabila za kusema ile kusema culture yao kuambia wale watoto. But that's wajua nitamix Swahili and English because so I'm sorry for that. Because unakuta kwa watu wengine wanasema mimi ni Mwarabu, but it's not Mwarabu peke yake. Like myself, I say I'm Arab, but it's not I'm Arabic, I'm a Kenyan. I was born Kenya, nasema ni Kenya, sitasema Mwarabu peke yake na kabila nyingine ndani. So unaona? So unamwambia mtoto wako la mapema beginning. Akifika age ya kwa yuko na 15 years or 14, lazima ule mtoto mweke chini umadvise vile atakuwa. Wewe ni kabila fulani na ni mtu fulani unajieleza naye. So it's called conversation na mtoto wako. So unakuta kabila kama hizi hawakai. Mimi ni Mwarabu, mimi ni Mwarabu. Unakuta mtoto kuwa anakaa kando, hajui tradition yake. Baada ya sharibikiwa ndio nasema. Au sisi kina mama, kama sisi kina mama, tunapenda sana watoto wa kike kuwaleta karibu, kuambia this and this and this is wrong and right. Watoto wa kiume hatuwaweki.
Sasa that's interesting. Yeah. Which is true, yeah.
But watoto wa kiume wanakuwa makubwa kubwa. Ashakuwa na 15 years kuendelea. Okay, 21 years. Haiwezi kusikiza tena. Asa simshamwambia ni mume.
Yeah. Mwarabu.
Mwarabu.
I want to nataka kuuliza nyinyi the same question. Like as wakazi wa Mombasa. How does that look like for you? Your story ya mi Mwarabu, mi si Mjikenda, mi si hii, mi si what? How does that play your story? Because sote tumecheka. Kusikia akisema yeye ni Mwarabu, like wonder why did we laugh?
I can go fast because I think for me, I'm an outsider. I live here. I've only lived here for 2 years. So I haven't been here for a long time. I'm not Arab. I am not Arab. Although if I were to wear the hijab as a Muslim, most people think I'm Somali, like yesterday, right? I'm Kikuyu, right? And what I think has been very shocking to my system is experiencing pockets of anti-blackness, right? There is, there's like a level of Arab superiority that permeates everywhere, that it becomes really difficult to navigate a lot of these public spaces if you're not Arab, and if you're not the usual fair skin, fair hair, you know what I mean? Like all those markers. So as an outsider, I know I'm not going to fit in. I already know that. Wow. Yeah.
Ever? And does it feel like ever? What?
Yeah. For me, since I'm born and raised in Mombasa, I've interacted with different cultures here. Myself, originally, I'm not from the coast, from the lakeside, but since I was raised here, at least I've been able to interact, and not only with the younger ones, with my generation, but also with the elderly. So I can say growing up, it is the same, like she has said. You get to experience that the different cultures, there is a line where people draw it, because they'll be like, sisi kama Warabu ama Waswahili, we don't do that. And then you're like, okay, but I live here, we interact, and I feel like this is okay, we can do this. And then they're like, contrary. But it has, throughout the time, it has been able to change. Right now, you can find that I can sit with Asia, and we can have a conversation, and we can interact and talk about things openly, rather than drawing the line between, and identify kama Mswahili, ama Mwarabu, ama maybe I'm not from here, you know. And the thing is, when it comes to live alone, even culture, even religion, because some of the things that are actually in a conflict here in Mombasa is that kuna hiyo aspect other than even Warabu, kuna hiyo aspect ya religion. Yeah, so within Warabu I've seen watu wanasema kwa vile sisi ni Warabu ama mimi ni Mwarabu hatuwezi fanya hivi. Growing up, this is an example, and what happened is tukiwa shule in a school bus, when you come to Mombasa na mnataka kupelekwa around na mumeinteract na shule zingine, it happened to me. This is like I'm not exaggerating anything. Watoto wa Arabu walikuwa wanaekwa mbele, alafu sisi wengine tuko tunaekwa nyuma. Yes. But now with the time that it's changing, pia ilikuwa kuna shule zinajulikana za Hawarabu. But saizi things have changed. Vitu zinaenda zikibadilika. Nikiona mimi my younger bro mwenye alikuwa shule, utapata shule iko wanaita bara, even if you move across. When you move across, ukitoka Mombasa, ukienda Taita, it's still in the coast, but ni bara. So unapata shule za bara, Waarabu hawasomi. But saizi wakisoma, even in the bus, unapata wanamixiwa na interact. Yes.
Wacha tusikia anasema nini?
Alafu that line that is being drawn, separating the non-Arabs with Arabs, is not only applies, it doesn't only applies to non-Arabs only, hata Waswahili. Like, unajua Waarabu they know themselves, wanajuana, like, I know this is an Arab person hivi, kuna kama ka click. So kama wewe si Mwarabu, kama mimi ni Mbajuni. So mimi ni Mwarabu mixed with Mswahili. Yeah.
So, but aren't all of them the same way? That's what I'm trying to say. There's no one who is fully Arab here. Like, unless you just come from Oman today. Hata huyo Mbajuni, hata huyo Mbarao, hata huyo Mdao, wote.
Kuna hiyo separation kabisa, visible kabisa, mtu yuwajua kabisa, you have the fair skin and all that, but still you're not categorized as an Arab.
Warabu ni nini? That's what I want to find out. What is it?
Warabu si ni kabila kama kabila nyingine, lakini wanajichukua wao wana cheo kikubwa kama kabila nyingine, so hizo unaona
themselves wana feel kama they're better off, yani wakiwa wao kwa wao peke yao. Alafu for them to make it even more superior, the hiyo culture yao, the Arabs, they just marry wana wenyewe kwa wenyewe. So that way,
kama hivyo nilivyokueleza tangu mwanzo, culture yao wanapenda kwa wenyewe kwa wenyewe. Hiyo kwa Kiswahili ile safi kabisa wanaita kama kusema ubaguzi. Unaona, siwezi mtoto wangu mimi ni Mwarabu nimuoze kabila nyingine. Ndio sasa hii mimi nataka sana kina mama na kina baba waiache hiyo. Ndio imeleta mapungufu sana ya huu kabila. Unakuta sengine msichana mmempenda Mswahili, wewe ni Mwarabu utaki mtoto wako aliwe na Uswahili. Unakuta sengine mtoto anakwenda kujinyonga ama nakula sumu ama anakimbia. Inarudi anakimbia sasa, badala wale hawawani tena. Anakimbia kwa nyumba, anaondoka kwa nyumba na kwenda nje ya nyumba nyingine kwenda kukaa. Ama anajidhuru kimaisha ule mtoto wako. Sasa ningependa kwenye changamoto ni kuwa tusifanye ubaguzi. Ubaguzi wa rangi ama kabila. Hiyo inaleta sana watoto wetu kuumia. Unajaribu kumweka mtoto wako chini polepole na umueleze. Kwa sababu kabila si dini. Unaona, kabila ni tofauti na dini. Kama wewe kweli ni Mwarabu na ni Muislamu na umepata mtu ni Muislamu, pengine mtoto wako anataka kuoa, wasema mimi sikubali paka kabila fulani. Lakini uje ni mwenye pia ni Muislamu.
Because that's what I wanted to ask. Because she brought in the culture
religion
versus religion. Yeah.
When you talk about Arabs, I think historically it's something that has been passed down through generations, because looking at the history of Mombasa is that the Arabs came in from their countries and they came in as the superior people, and there was colonizers and they were coming to do slave trade, and it is through that it's when people got to intermarry and it gave birth to the Swahili community. So with that, I think it's now I'm happy that Mom here is saying that they should start breaking it down, because if you pass it on to your children, like we're the superior power, like from the colonizing stage, it means that people carry it from generation. And then when kids don't understand, nowadays, at least us as Gen Zs, we challenge, I'm saying we challenge everything. But initially, people will be like, my parents say that Arabs are supposed to behave like this. Sisi ndo tuko superior, sisi ndo Waarabu, yani, you know, Arab. And then people say, kama nywele zako si singa, we si Mwarabu. Kama wewe hauko mweupe, we si Mwarabu. Yeah.
I'm really glad that you brought the religious part, because me as a Muslim, I'm just like, huh? And I wasn't born Muslim.
Yeah.
And so coming into the faith and then having this idea that what unifies us is a faith that embraces all. And then realizing, and it's different living in Mombasa than visiting, because visiting, you don't really sit with all these different layers. And I think that is a thing also, as someone who's coming to Islam, who is an Arab, but might pass for some mixture, right? There's a sense of openness, but overall there's a closingness. And I'm so glad, Mommy, that you're here to talk about these things, because it's very hurtful.
Yeah.
It's very painful, you know.
So that's the other conversation I wanted to pick up, because nyote mmesema there's a difference between culture and religion. And we've said that, hata mimi nimeisema, kila mtu ameisema. In Mombasa you feel it even more. Kwa sababu, for example, just a question. Modoni has said she's a Muslim. She's called Modoni. What do you perceive her as?
Before she's not a Muslim.
You've seen her and you're like, this can't be a Muslim.
Amekuwa Muslim, amekuwa Muslim.
Oh, she's a Muslim.
Now she's a Muslim. Before she was not a Muslim.
Yes,
Before amesilimu kwa mapenzi gani?
Yangu tu. Hakuna
Mapenzi yako mwenyewe.
I want us to continue the conversation around generations, but specific to culture and religion. I can't remember what you were talking about earlier.
Anasema kuhusu habari ya religion ya kuongelesha watoto. Tusiongeleshe wasichana peke yake. Tuongeleshe pia na vijana. Kwa sababu sisi kina mama, we love girls only. Tuna advise sana watoto wetu wa kisichana kuliko wa kivulana. Na ningebe both of them tuwaweke pamoja na tuwaongeleshe. Sasa sisi tunapenda wasichana, alafu baadaye unakuta wavulana tunaacha. Mvulana ajue ni mwanamume mpaka akiwa mkubwa anajua ni mwanamume. So unakuta sengine divorce zimekuwa nyingi sasa. Na zimekuwa nyingi divorce kwa sababu wale wavulana hawajaelimishwa.
Kwa sababu wasichana wakihitimu, like at what age we start talking to them wakishaanza menstruate?
Washaanza kukua. Mara nyingi sana unakuta mtu anamweka msichana akiwa na 15. Lakini it's better earlier than 15 years. Unamuadvise. Kwa sababu kule nje kuna changamoto nyingi sana. From this now, unakuta mtu 9 years ashailimika. 9 years ana lab. 9 years ana phone. Anaingia kila mali ndani. Sana ona mengi. So I think now wazazi to start na 9 years.
On the conversation. But tunaongea conversation kuhusu nini? Are we talking about contraception? Are we talking about menstruation? Are we talking about sex?
Tuambe mambo mengi sana.
Kama nini?
Okay. Sex pia ni sawa. Kwa sababu ile mtoto atakuwa ni mapema. Kuna wengine wanaanza kukua wakiwa 9 years. Hata ujue kama umemwacha aweza karibikiwa. 9 years akianza sex, kama ashakuwa pregnant utamfanya nini kama mama? Utashindwa. Ujui asome, hajui mweke wapi. Lakini 9 years ukimwambia kufanya hivi and hivi na hivi, you can do this and this will be wrong. Do this and this will be right. Ikiwa na 9 years. Na mvulana vile vile. 9 years unaweza kumweleza. Kwa sababu mtoto 7 years asianza kujua kila kitu. 7 years mvulana msichana ashajua. So akifika 9 ukianza kumwambia akiwa 9 sio sawa, makosa. Unasengine unamlea mtoto ndani ya nyumba ni mvulana. Pengine yuko 9 years. Ukimwambia ukifanya hivi samani za kitu makosa, lakini tutasema kwa ndani sio kwa nje sana. 9 years wapata mtoto sengine anaharibika. Ni boy lakini anapata mvulana mwenzake anaweza kutaka kumharibu maisha yake. Lakini kama 9 years unaanza kumwambia, sidhani kama mvulana mwenzake akimwambia kitu atakubali. Ama mwalimu wa shule. Sasa kuna game nyingi sana. Kama sisi wa kina mama wa mitaa tuna changamoto nyingi sana. Tunaitoa kesi sengine mwalimu wa shule amemharibu msichana na mvulana. Ni kwa nini? Wewe mzazi una makosa. Yule mtoto pengine kumadvise na mapema. Lakini ukimadvise na mapema, sidhani kama mwalimu atamchukua yule mtoto amfanye kitendo kama kile atakubali. Lazima atasema. Lakini kama hatusemi sisi wazazi, ndio unakuta kuwa mtoto anaharibikiwa. Na kwa nini mtoto wa kiume anaharibikiwa? Because parents hawatalk sana na boys, wanatalk sana na girls. Ndio unakuta mtoto wa kiume sana mara nyingi wanaharibika. Sasa mimi ningependa wazazi wengi sana wakae both kids.
Waseme nao.
To them, yeah.
So going back onto that generational conversation, hata tulikuwa tunasema kuhusu unyago, kitchen party, hiyo mambo ya kuzungumzisha wasichana. Do you know what a kitchen party is? Or what unyago culture is?
No.
Do you? Sophia?
I know of kitchen party.
Okay, wait.
Yeah.
Do you?
I don't know of Onyago, but I've heard about kitchen party and I know what it consists of.
Mimi unyago najua.
So tell me what you know about it.
So in kitchen parties, what we do nowadays, once a lady is ready to be married, we have this celebration, the pride, like bachelorette's party, where you have girls coming and then the old elderly women coming, and then we have one person that we call a kungwi. Yes, and then that kungwi comes in, and then they have symbolic activities going on. So unapata, we were given gifts as a bride. So unapata unapewa kama kinu, unapewa mbuzi, vitu, household items, mbuzi, the one you coconut, zinayo. So with that, they try and elaborate and teach you how you're supposed to attend to your man. Sasa initially I did not understand these things. I'm like, okay, ukipewa kinu, haufai kushare na jirani. I'm like, what is this? What is going on? Like, jirani yangu akikuja kuniomba kinu, so, like, it is symbolic. Like, when you have your man, you're supposed not to share with someone else. Alafu, this is how you're supposed to treat. Ufai msichana, unafaa ukune nazi in a certain way to please a man. And I'm like, those are just chores. Mi nitaenda nikune nazi, nitengeneze chakula na story ishe. And then you are educated as a woman, what you're supposed to do. Bwanako akikuja kutoka kazini, make sure maybe umeoga. That's how kitchen parties generally look like. Of how, at least I've attended place too, and that's how I've seen it. So this elderly woman comes and tell us how you're supposed to treat your man, how you're supposed to behave as a woman once you get married, how you're supposed to clean your house, what time you're supposed to cook, what time you're supposed to be in the house. As a woman, you're not supposed to be late in the house. So generally, that's the picture that happens.
So before I come to you, and maybe all of us will answer the question, are there kitchen parties for men? Because honestly, what is that?
Yeah.
Higher, next. What do you, because this is as a Muslim girl.
Yeah.
Me, I remember my mother telling me not to attend kitchen parties because for us, kitchen parties symbolized something different. So I don't attend. I don't think I've ever attended a kitchen party before, because for me, what I know a kitchen party, what people do in those kitchen parties is not what you've just said. So what do you understand by a kitchen party?
I've actually not attended at not even one single kitchen party, but I've seen on TikToks. So essentially whatever she said is what happens. Kwa sababu on TikTok utaona there's one video explaining the kuna nazi aspect of things. Then there's a second video. So it's like, oh, kuna ingine naenda na watch like that. Lakini I don't feel like kwa nini wasichana wakwe imposed on that kitchen party theme and all that, but not the men. How am I? Why is it that I'm supposed to please the man, and it's not reciprocated?
Yeah, there's no kitchen party for men.
For men, exactly.
Yes.
Why?
Because how fundishwi how to please a woman, then you just get married and you move on. So another question for you.
Yeah.
Where is the line kwa hiyo kitchen party between religion and culture? Where do we draw the line? What is a kitchen party? Is it religious? Is it cultural?
It's more of culture than religion. I don't think in religion kusema talking about the issues that are going to happen between your husband and yourself are supposed to be sacred. Yani ni zako na wewe na mume wako. So whatever you do with your husband is just between you two. So in the religion aspect of it, I don't think kama ni kitu ambacho it's acceptable. So kitchen party is more of a culture rather than religion.
What do you think?
About
The kitchen party. Or you're finding about the kitchen party here.
Okay, so this is the thing. I think, and I appreciate what Mom is saying, that all this is really spaces where young women are taught how to navigate marriage, right? So I think even in our Kikuyu culture, we had a variation of a kitchen. Unajua, kila mtu huku unaingia tu, right? There's always, things were always taught. For me, as a relational and sex therapist, I appreciate these kinds of spaces that prepare and teach young women or old women who are getting into marriage, right? What I would have loved is if they would also integrate things like, how do you navigate through conflict? You know, how do you ensure that your husband, you're able to vet someone who's also done the work on themselves? So you can't just be the only one in the relationship who's worked on themselves. You know what I mean? Like, it's uneven. It's an uneven burden that's placed on the women to ensure that the marriage is healthy and nurturing. That is what I have a problem with. Yeah, it centers a lot on the male gaze.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Finally, wewe tuambie kitchen party na unyago ni nini? Hapo ndo tulikuwa tunakuja.
I have information.
Aha.
Ayaka vizuri. Unyago ilianza zamani. Na mambo ya unyago ilianza tangu za manyanya na manindo walianza kuletewa hizo enza zamani. Unyago ulikuwa kama wasichana wamekuwa. Unaona wale makungu wale. Wasichana wamekuwa kama washakuwa tuseme age za 15 years nini, washakuwa wanakusanywa hawi mmoja. Unajua hawi mmoja. Wanakusanywa wasichana wengi wanapelekwa kwenye unyago. Wanafunzwa sasa. Zamani tofauti kitchen party na ule unyago. Unyago ni tofauti na kitchen party. Kitchen party ina afadhali. Unyago ndo so mzuri sana kwa sababu ulikuwa wasichana wanachukuliwa wanapelekwa pale, wanapa mafundisho na wale kina mama. Unaona? Tuseme kama mko 10 na mama 10 watakuja hapo, kila mtu na mtu wake. Kama mama anatoa wasichana wawili, anakuja na wasichana wake wawili. Unaona? Kama ni mama na msichana wake mmoja wanakuja, wanawekwa mahali kwenye nyumba moja, wote pamoja. Sasa hapo ndo wanafundishwa mambo kana waume na nini. Maybe almost 1 week weza hapo. Wanafundishwa ngoma, wanafundishwa kila kitu. All of them there wako hapo. Sasa ile culture wanafundishwa zile culture za kana mambo ya naume wao unyago. Huwa sasa mimi naona ni afadhali. Una kidogo unaheshima. Wa zamani orongo walikuwa wezi. Mambo kama hayo, kama ni mtoto mjanja anakimbia. Hakai. I'm the one nimehepa.
Oh, ushahepa.
Nilihepa. I am the one nilihepa. Cousin of my grandmom, his wife, ndo alinifuata nyumbani. Akanambia nichukue mamangu kama kuniomba. Wacha nimchukue msichana niende naye. Kuna kwa grupu za wasichana hivi nimpeleke akaone mambo ya zile traditional zao. Mamangu akasema sawa, go nenda naye, just go with her. Nikaenda naye. Nikifika hapo it was early in the morning. Nikatolewa nyumbani na mama. Nikifika hapo nimeambiwa you just kneel down there. From the gate ni kneel down. Nikamwambia can't kneel down. Why? Namba can't. Mimi nitamsujudia Mungu lakini sio wewe. Yule mama sasa alikwenda kuchukua ile inaitwa ni kikoto. That's right. Ile akija kinichapa, mimi nilitoka kwa gate. Mbio. Early in the morning nikakimbia. Nikaenda zangu nyumbani. Nilikuta wasichana wenzangu vile walivyovaa, nilishangaa, mimi nilikimbia. Nikaja zangu nyumbani. Kufika nyumbani, nakuta babangu atoka na gari. Nikamkwepa nikaingia ndani. Babangu akanifuata, akaniambia mama mtoto nani? Akaniambia kuna mama mwingine anakuja kumchukua. Hapo ndio kaanza ku explain mamangu. Nilienda nikamwambia hivi na hivi nikakimbia. So sikuona ile ni mambo mazuri. Hawezi kuwa msichana wa mtu umpeleke hata kuna na uzuri mimi mwenyewe alikuwa ni mjanja. Nilikimbia nilifika kwa gate. Kama ni msichana mjinga, wajua ingefanywa nini ndani? Kwa sababu niliona wana vitu ameweka. I think people they want to give someone else to drink something on the bowl, so glasses. So when I see that, I start running. Nilipata upenyene. Sasa unakuta sengine usikubali wewe mzazi. Hiyo ni kitu muhimu sana. Usikubali mzazi mtu ajemchukue mtoto wako ati naenda naye mahali. you have to know where she's going now.
And so tukiongelelea stories za sasa, for example, influence, kwa sababu umesema mambo ya influence, our parents, our grandparents, our mothers, and our greatest influence. Where do you think, in terms of just thinking about it from the lens of religion, culture, where you live, all those things, what has been like some of your greatest influences on how you look at yourself as a woman, for example? Kwa sababu sasa kama if you went through hiyo unyago ungekuwa hapa sasa?
Singekuwa hapa nafikiri. You know?
What do you think, Asia? What has been your greatest influence?
I'd like to say my religion and culture. Kwa sababu culture and religion in Mombasa, they've almost merged. There's a very thin line between culture and religion. So it's just a matter of navigating on both sides. So naona whoever I am today is because of where I come from, which is Mombasa, and how it's
tied to your personality and how you move through in your life.
Yeah.
It's influenced you to be who you are.
Yes.
So nikikutoa hapa nikupeleke another country.
Yeah.
Would it change
how I present myself?
I mean, the influence you have, like how you present yourself as a woman or whatever it is. Yeah.
I don't think it would change because it's something that I've carried with me. Me as a person. So I don't think it will change.
Really? What has shaped me mostly, the three aspects, that is culture, we have religion, and then we also have the environment. I will say my parents. Basically, when I talk of environment, I will say where we stay and also my parents. Because when it comes...
Sorry to interrupt. Mtwapa? Right now?
No. I have lived in Bamburi. I've grown up in Bamburi. Mtwapa, I moved because I got married and I moved to Mtwapa. So right now, what has built me to where I am, it's because of the environment in Bamburi. That is. So my mom is a young mom. She was a teen mom, actually. She gave birth to me when she was around 17 years old. And right now she's around 45. So for her, she has taken me as a sister, actually, not actually as a daughter. And that one, it has helped me a lot because she was open. But what she has said when it comes to nurturing a woman, it's different with the man. I've seen it with my mom. Amenishikilia sana, like my daughter, my sister. I've told her everything. She has sat me down, akinambia, kuna contraceptives. When I got my menstruation and nifunza about pads and everything. But when my brother is going, we are two, my brother is growing up, anasema, ni jukumu la my dad to do that. So there is conflict between me and my brother because some of the things he doesn't know. It's not because he's not ignorant or anything, but because he's not being told. He cannot accommodate me as a woman or as a girl, but he's just taking the role as I'm a man. She has tried to break down some of the roles and saying kazi za nyumba ni za kila mtu. Because you eat in the house as a boy, if your sister has cooked, you are supposed to do the dishes. But when it comes to now, it's my duty to do the dishes. I am on menstruation, I'm in pain. He wouldn't understand it, be like, unajifanya sana, amka, like, you know? Yes, and with that, there's that aspect. When I go out and I interact with different cultures and people, you'd find that people will be like, unafanya hivyo ndio you're a woman.
Yeah.
So I will be like, I will say, an example would be, tunapiga story and I will say, jana bulb ilianguka, and then I was there nikijaribu kunani, and like, unafanya hivyo ndio you're a woman. I'm like, imeanguka and I'm alone in the house. What am I supposed to do? Look for a man. Until a man arrives. So basically that's it. And when it comes to religious aspect, I wouldn't say that I am religious, but it has played a big role because we had Sunday schools where you were told you are not supposed to have tattoos. You are not supposed to, as a Christian, you're not supposed to steal. So when I want to do some of these things, I'll be like, no, religion is restricting me. But when it comes to expressing yourself as a woman, my mom has instilled some values and said, you're supposed to be yourself. When it comes to dressing, don't let anyone judge you for your dressing. Express yourself, but she will be like, now religion also states that we're not supposed to be like this. When you go to church, this is how you're supposed to dress, you know? So basically, that's what has made me to who I am today.
also want to talk about perception and stereotypes, because that's the thing. You said it twice now, because I want to address it. And when you got up to fix your microphone, I asked the question, and that's why we were asking. I asked them, Mudhoni has said twice that she's a Muslim, and no one has acknowledged it. And no one has acknowledged it. And I was like, why haven't you acknowledged it? And she said it. She's not covered. She has tattoos. So I just assumed it was like, what did you say? You just assume. And she has braids on her hair. Not covered your hair. Let's talk about Mombasa and stereotypes. Let's talk about that, because it's Mombasa.
It's Mombasa.
It's stereotypes. She said it twice. She's a Muslim.
Yeah, she's a Muslim.
Why is she less of a Muslim?
Yeah, and
than both of you? Let's start from there. Explain to me.
I can say she's less of a Muslim than me. It's just a matter of kwa ufupi. Yeah, ame to join. Like, she wasn't a Muslim before. Amekuja kutujoin sisi.
Sorry. No, I mean, it's why we are here. It's why we are here. So it's why we are here. It's why we are here.
So there's some things that she's still learning. Now, we're trying to accommodate her learning period. And there's some things that she did from the past. And who are we to judge? Enye ulifanya ukiwa not a Muslim. It's not our business. As of now, you're a Muslim and you're a practicing Muslim. That's it. It doesn't mean you're less of a Muslim than I am.
Yeah.
Because you don't cover your head.
So you get a free pass. What she's saying is, let me clarify. You're getting a free pass because you're a revert and not born a Muslim. So if you were born a Muslim and she had all these tattoos,
No.
she would be.
I'm not saying she gets a free pass, but let's say she's still in the learning process of what Islam is. That's how I'm going to put it. Kwa sababu, I'm sure you've seen almost every Muslim, mostly, wanajifunika mtandio and buibui and all that. Since you've not covered yourself, that's your own choice, sindio? That's your own choice, kutojifunika or anything. Lakini it doesn't mean that
you're more Muslim than
her. Yeah.
Okay.
Doesn't mean that.
That's what we're saying. Yeah. But you also said something interesting about tattoos and her hair. So repeat what you said.
About tattoos.
Yeah.
I have grown in Mombasa. I'm a Christian by faith kabisa. I wouldn't say I'm religious. Yeah. But now my friends mostly are Muslims, and I learn from them to a point that my name is Sophia, and they'll be like, mbona hauslimu tayari unanina? So that these things, they'll say, Kenya ukislimu, hizo rasta, itabidi umezitoa. You're not supposed to have braids. And we had these stories, ukikuwa Muislamu, ukikufa kama uko na rastas, zitatoka nyoka, zitageuka nyoka, alafu zitakunyonga. And then when you have tattoos, nyama yako itatolewa. So with that, mimi ikatwe. And then they're like judgy, like sasa kwa vile haujavaa nguo refu, you can't be a Muslim. So maybe I'm like, that's what I know. And when you say you're a Muslim, you have braids, I'm like, wait. So I'm so confused. You know, some people, like when you had this story of, is it Pakistani, when Muslim choose, you need to have a hijab. Yeah. That changed a bit. But now saying a Muslim who has braids and has tattoos, and then she confines and says, I'm a Muslim, it's also challenging for me. I'm like, wait.
So I'm trying to clear up the stereotype of ukikufa, you're going to utakatwa hiyo nyama yenye iko tattoo, or your braids are going to being cut off. No.
And they can turn snake.
Yeah. Actually, ukikufa in Islam, with everything that you have on, as long as you're a Muslim, you're tattooed, you have braids or you have nails, they're just kept hapo with you. So ukizikwa unazikwa venye uko.
So wewe na Mungu wako.
That was your last, let's say, for the nails part and the braids thing, that was your last deed. Uliamua uweke braids, uweke nails. that's you and you're good now.
Yeah.
So nobody should cut off your skin or your hair or anything like that.
Yeah, yeah.
That is how
Wanatuambia
it
nini
is.
kuhusu hizo braids?
Nasema kabla wengine wasema hiyo ni story ilitokea. Ni story ilitokea, wakasema kuwa sehemu zilizo za Ukunda kuna mtu alikufa akiwa na hizo rasta kageuka nyo. Hiyo ni story, hakuna mtu hatujaona.
So the other question I want to ask is, in women in the coast are generally very open, authentic, outgoing, outspoken. But there's a generation where there's a bit of silence. And earlier nilikuwa namuuliza Asia. Na labda wewe mama mtaweza kuuliza kwa sababu there's this topic around LGBTQI that we don't talk about. There's a kuna kitu hapo ya tunasema lakini there's a culture of silence in which where hatusemi mambo yengine, like hatusemi tu, we don't acknowledge. Ni kweli uongo?
Iko. Watu wanaficha mingi.
Yani hata si kuficha, hatusemi, hatuongelei. And I don't know if you feel comfortable kusema mambo ya anti-Faisal will pass.
Yeah.
So there's a question that I asked earlier about hatusemi kuna watu wale ambao we don't talk about queerness or sexual identity, lakini obviously ukienda huku kwa mitaa tunaona hawa wanaume wale ambao wanavaa kama wanawake, but we still don't call them gay or what. Why is that so? Like, kwa nini watu huwa hawa acknowledge that kuna vitu kama hivi vinafanyika? We just see them but don't talk about it.
Kuna msemo watu wanasema asofunzwa na mamake atafunzwa na ulimwengu. Sawa. Sasa walimwengu ndo sisi tuwafundishe. Lakini sasa unakuta sisi hatuwezi kuambia, tunaogopa. Unaona? Unaogopa kwa sababu ile ukimweka chini ukimwambia anaweza kukutusi. Hiyo ndo watu wanaogopa kumwambia mtu ukweli. Unaona? Sasa mfano mimi nikwambia hivi na hivi na uko utakubali kweli. Na hiyo kitu ushazoea.
But zafanyika.
Twaziona.
Lakini mbona tuongelee? Why?
Watu wanaogopa. Sasa kutafuta hii kwa nini tunaogopa? Hii kuogopa kwetu ndo haliwezi kuisha. Lakini kama tu tunatafuta na kuambia ule ukweli, pengine litapungua. Hata kama litakwisha litapungua.
So I'll ask the same question differently. In terms of openness of where we see these things happening and silence. But then I'll also ask the question about your experience around queerness. Because you see it, right? You see it.
So first of all, it's generational. Normally, what I'm saying is the younger ones are open to talk about, like us mostly. But now it depends with how you've grown up. We are open because these are the things that are affecting us now. Initially, our parents, maybe it was there, they didn't want to talk about it, and now they have been told it is wrong, especially when it comes to the LGBTQ. They obey the law, and when it comes to religion, and it comes to culture-wise, it is wrong. But now, with our younger generation, the Gen Z, we have seen that, from my opinion and observation, is that most of the queer community that started coming out were the younger ones and saying, I am gay, I am a lesbian, because we have grown to be outspoken. So in this case, there is a silence with our parents, because how do you start talking about gayism? Do you even understand what a gayism is? How do you even start questioning? And then it's so wrong to even speak about it, just to say that, are you gay? To ask your child, do you know what gayism is? It feels so wrong because initially, as I translated in Kiswahili, I can't say it here, ni matusi already. So how do you start having a conversation around it? And it's there. And then culturally, you're told, how far, me, my mom was, and religiously, when I used to have my friends over, and then she'll come to the room and say, munacheka sana huko ndani, what's going on? Like, yeah, but she will feel comfortable talking about either menstruation, but when it comes to the topic of LGBTQ, that's where she draws the line. And it's there. So why can't we talk about it? It's good when you tell someone you need to choose between this and that, because if it's so wrong and I don't know about it, I'll still go ahead and do it. if it's, I can identify as lesbian and then I don't know who to talk to, I don't have a safe space. And it's important when you mentioned about safe spaces, I noticed the elderly women don't have that. Yeah. They don't have that. For us, I'd mentioned I'm a co-founder of a community-based organization, and as we're advocating for women issues, we sat down and started these circles. And when talking about women, we'll see someone will introduce themselves and say, thank you so much for having this safe space, because I don't know where I can take my problems. Or rather, I don't know where I can speak my mind. Yeah. There are issues that affect me as a woman, either it's gender role, sexual orientation. I can't speak about them because I don't have anywhere to talk about them. So it's important, especially the queer. It's there, we are seeing it. Yeah. People say I'm a lesbian, or people are actually dressing as a man is trans. Yeah.
And I think it goes back to that same conversation. Sorry, I'm just going to repeat what I said to you earlier. It goes back to the same conversation that I was having with Asia earlier. Nikasema, it's where do our parents draw the line on the kind of conversations they can have with us and your generation? Because I feel like nilikuwa nawaambia earlier, me, I didn't have a conversation about contraception with my mother. And then I actually thought about it and I said, maybe she didn't also have a conversation with her mother about contraception. So she doesn't know what to say to me. And it was, so it's for us to break those generational cycles with my child. And I was trying to ask her the same thing. Do you have a conversation with your mother about contraception? Or does it stop with menstruation? You know what I mean? And it goes hand in hand with, make sure you engage your menstruation, you have to talk about contraception, and you have to talk about other things. But she said to me, she has sisters, at least that she can ask those questions to. But then I asked her the same question: what if you don't have sisters? You know, what, like you, if you don't have sisters, who do you talk to? And then it's an interesting thing that you've just said. Who do you talk to as an older lady?
Hata we mkubwa na hata kiwa ni mkubwa, lakini kama uko na mkubwa wako zaidi, unaweza kaka kuongeleshana naye. Yeye atakuwa anajua mengi zaidi kuliko wewe.
So at least uko now and you do that, and I think it's encouraged.
Sasa kama una ndio shida.
So I think the other question I wanted to ask was, do you have any this is a good question. Do you see yourself as a feminist, and why?
Can I start?
Yes.
I see myself as a feminist in this aspect. I really like advocating for women, equal rights for women and all that. So to me, that's being that's being a feminist. So period.
Yeah. Mark. Feminists.
Niko nao. Hiyo kawaida. Kama hii ndio unabeba kila kitu.
You're a feminist.
Beba kabisa kila kitu. Ni wewe. Hakuna kitu unabakisha.
I like that. I like that. I think for me, I like I said earlier, I prefer womanist, because feminist, if you look at the history of it, was predominantly in the space of white women. And African women, tukona vitu zetu, our culture, our family systems, the way that we've embraced whatever faith we have. So for me, I lean more on the idea of womanism, which looks at the collective, but also says that our stories are specific and our issues are specific to us as Kenyan women, as African women, as Black women. I mean, completely, utterly. Yeah. But I want to answer something that you didn't ask me. Actually, two things. I was just like, sorry. Okay, so the first question you asked was ile historia, influence. Sindio? Like, who are the people who've like really influenced you? Me, hands down, my mother. My mother. And then now, extension, my mothers.
Mothers,
Yes, now I have mothers. And I think you mentioned about your mom being like, she had you when she was a teen. My mother had me when in her early 20s, but she was married. And so the experience of being my mother's daughter has been twofold. There was when she was married to my dad, and then when he passed on when I was 16 and a half. And so the last 30 years, it's a completely different reinvention.
Of herself.
Yes. And I was just telling her, I am now more comfortable being in my mid 46. I am comfortable because I don't feel old. I don't feel like my like I have no relevance, I have nothing to share, right? I don't feel that because I have seen from my mother and my mothers, and I see women who are continuously reinventing themselves. Unajua, haukai tu hivi, right? Kama mami sasa. For me, you keep reinventing yourself, you know? And I think we need to be able to, if we don't have those spaces in our own families, I think we need to give ourselves permission to seek that need to be met.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Or create your own for the rest of the family.
You know, that is very important. I like that. I really like that.
Yeah.
And the other thing I think I also wanted to talk is, for me, this is my second reinvention as being Muslim. I've been Muslim maybe 8 years. So the way I was 8 years, na vile niko. Tofauti.
Can I just say what I said earlier? Also, when I went to Mudani for the first time, it was the same thing. It was the same thing. Because even me, I used to cover myself. It was the same thing. I was very shocked. She had on a jilbab. Remember if you had niqab? I can't remember why I thought you had niqab. And I looked at her, and then we went and sat inside, and then she removed the jilbab, and I saw the tattoos, and I was like, oh. Oh. How can you call yourself Muslim with all those tattoos? Oh my God! Yeah, so it was the same thing for me, and she had to explain to herself, to all of us what that was, and I remember my mom always telling me about this about her friend of hers who became a revert. We call them reverts, yeah. And the story that was the first time I'd ever heard that. I think you're the one who said it. You're born a Muslim. According to Islam, you're born a Muslim. You go and do the things that you're doing. When you come back, you revert back to the true religion. So you're not a convert, you're a revert.
Yeah.
So it was very interesting for me to hear her saying those things. And you know, she's all covered in tattoos, and I was like, yeah, okay, sure, yeah, right. And then seeing her like this now, I had to ask her, what happened?
And I think I love that question for me because I have been raised by a mother, and I am now being raised by mothers that have given themselves permission internally to ask themselves questions. If does this thing or does this experience work for me? Do you know what I mean? And so for me, I am really fortunate, and I recognize that when I became Muslim 8 years ago, my family did not shun away from me like a lot of people would have that experience.
Because we changed their religion.
You know, my family was like, oh, okay. I remember my shosho, when I was wearing a hijab, and she would say, I was gonna say Kikuyu, but
it's okay.
It was like, "Guy, niwekera gitabaya. Niwekera gitabaya. Gitabaya is like the kitamba." I say yes, yeah. It's like, oh, okay. With my long dresses, oh, okay. And the reason why my family, I think, did not have such a big sort of disconnect is because fundamentally I was still their child, and they still recognized me, right? They still recognized me. Do you know what I mean? Like I didn't go 360 like, who is this person?
Yeah.
And I think also for my family, and this is why I say it's incredibly important that when people revert back to the faith, are met with openness. Because first of all, you don't know where people have come from, right? And for me now in this second season, I am reclaiming my faith for me. I am finding out what works for me. Because when I became Muslim the first time, I was just told, ba kitamba, ba hijab. I didn't even know how to figure out a buibui. I didn't know kuna different materials. I I remember I would go to places and people's culture would speak for them as opposed to the faith, right? And I got lost. I really got lost. And so why Mombasa for me has been healing in a myriad of ways is it has allowed me the space, the physical space, and the environmental space for me to sit with myself and come back home. Does that make sense? Yeah. Alhamdulillah.
Now you are fine.
And I like the thing is this, we are not one type of Muslim. That's the thing. We are not one thing. We are a myriad of things. And when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about that He's made us from different communities so that we may know each other, what does that mean? That I mean mko tu Arabu, ama Somali, ama si ndio? Nitakuta na watu na ink wako huko ndani, watu wa braids, watu wa manini. Do you know what I mean? And the thing is there's so much joy when we talk with each other. Like this space. Si ndio? Do you know what I mean? We interact, we learn, we grow, we say,
Yeah.
today I learned something.
Yeah, it's true. And that's why we're here, right? That's why we're here. I'll come back to you, and or maybe I should ask the question, but answer the question about if you're a feminist. But then the other question I wanted to ask as we close is, you've said all those things. We've talked about silence. You've said that hopefully you're going to say you're a feminist. We've said all these things, but what are you doing? What is your part, the part that you're playing in terms of culture, in terms of religion, to break these silences, to find the safe spaces where you can talk to? For me, I know what I'm doing is I'm trying not to parent my child the way I was parented.
Yeah.
I want to go with her to the gynecologist. I told you this before. I would like to talk to my child about contraceptives very earlier on. And not because I want her to have sex earlier on, but I want her to know what I didn't know. Because I told Asia earlier, I found out about contraceptions after I had my first baby. Yes. Like you're going to the doctor and the doctor's like, after 6 weeks, this is what you should use. I was like, what is this? You know what I mean? Because I went to a Catholic school, and at Catholic school, mlikuwa mnaambiwa tu STDs. Hizi ni STDs. Hizi ni. When you have sex, this is what happens. We were not taught anything about anything. We're just taught the consequences and the actions. So what I'm trying to do to break the silence, to do my part, is to teach my daughter differently. I want her to know that there's another point of knowledge that is not TikTok. I want her to know that she can come. I mean, that is TikTok, yes. Consume that content, but I also want you to consume my content. I want you to come to me anytime you have a problem. I want you to come to me and ask me any question. In as much as, because she has a sister, but she's very young. You're lucky to have 5. She has 1, but she's very young. She can't ask her those questions. She has aunties, yes, and a grandmother and all these things. But if my mother didn't tell me about these things, she will not tell my grandchild about these things. So ask the question, answer the question, but then also maybe we can go back to what are you doing? What is your role in trying to break the silences and this generational gap? It's a heavy question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. Until I came here today, I wouldn't identify myself as a feminist. In this case, I consume a lot of information from online. Gen Zs, as it's either I'm on TikTok or I'm on Instagram.
Yeah.
Facebook, not so much. I even don't know if that app still exists. And right now, Twitter. So with that, I have known feminism to be people who are fighting men. Like you are just anti-men. Whatever you do, it's like, as much as you're fighting for the women, you're like, I don't want men in my space. It's just women who are supposed to dominate.
Yeah.
So as I was sitting with Asia earlier, I asked her, what is feminism? How do you interpret feminism? Or just Google and then we say. So as I was reading, I saw that feminism is actually advocating for equal rights for women. And I'm like, that's what I have been doing. Like, I should be a feminist, but I'm afraid to say I'm a feminist because people will brand me as a person who is anti-men. Exactly. So right now, as I'm speaking, I will say I'm a feminist because with Give for Good organization, we advocate for quality education and women and girl issues. Not only quality education, we want to make sure that women are given opportunities, equal opportunities, because in Mombasa, we have come so far, but you're not yet there. We have outcasts where we do our projects in Mokirunge. You'll find that girls are still told that if there's an opportunity, kama kuna bursary, patia mvulana. Yes, it's there. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, people assume that we have moved. Yeah, we have come far, but we are not there yet. I'm interacting with the communities at the grassroots level, and you'll find that if there is an opportunity to go to school and they are supposed to choose, kama kuna uniform, mvulana apewe. Kama kuna bursary, mvulana apewe.
In 2023.
2023.
Kwa nyuma. Ona ile mambo ya zamani. Ya kuwa msichana asisome, mvulana
asome. And with that, here in Mombasa, my closest friend, ndugu yake, got an opportunity in Nairobi to study at Nairobi University. But the parents were anti the woman going because ni msichana, atakuwa mbali na wazazi, ataharibika and all that. And she's going to school. So with that, I advocate for them being given equal opportunities. If a man can go and be successful in that campus, why can't you give your girl the same opportunity? And also, there's another question when you ask about what am I doing in the society and fighting for this. When we have a library space where we call it a safe space. We give opportunity. If a girl wants to come and borrow a book or sit down and study, they're supposed to feel free and come. And then with that, we have mentors. Well, as we're calling it a safe space, you're not supposed to be afraid. If you are on menstruation, you don't have sanitary pads, you can come and talk to me. If you want to say that I'm not comfortable that this guy is behaving this way, he's not accommodating me, please come and talk about it openly, or just say, I'm not okay, you addressing me like that. Because there's an instance where we're having an event, then these girls are going around collecting bottles, and then someone said, you're doing a good thing, that's what women should do. And then I was like, in this space, yes, such kind of comments. And the lady stood up and said, please apologize. Yeah. You see, now I'm so happy. Looking at that particular moment, I felt like I'm transforming the society or community on a really low level. If that girl said, apologize, and the guy said, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it that way. I was like, you shouldn't mean it in any way. I'm doing it because I'm supposed to have a clean environment, not that because I am a girl, I'm a woman. Yeah. And then we have these circles that we sit down as we have young girls, we also have elderly women, and we have circles that we interact, like the way we're putting it here. And I'm glad that we can even have a recording, like we are having this conversation. It's like we are moving as a society, and we need to have more in the grassroots level, because some of these issues are there. Like I'm glad that you are shocked that these things, people can actually give opportunities. They're there. Women are feeling like they're inferior. Yeah. Right now we are moving. I'm glad we can have this session, but on the grassroots level, it's different. Yeah. Yes, but women will come to the library and say, wasichana holidays wanafaa kusaidia watu wa nyumbani. So when the girl says she wants to go back to read in the library, she will fanya hizi kazi zingine zote. Ukimaliza, then you can go. Or by the time they finish, it's the end of the day. Yeah. Saizi jioni unaenda library kufanya nini, you see? Yeah. So I'm glad we are transforming a society, but we are yet to get.
And you're doing your part.
Yeah.
I really like it. Same question.
Okay, amenigusa. Ngoja sasa naeleze hiyo story. Hiyo story nilipata mimi. When I was young, my grandmom alikuwa hataki niende shule. My older grandmom. Yeah. My grandmom was passed away when my mom, she was young. So my older grandmom alikuwa hataki niende shule. Kabisa. Nilipelekwa shule na babangu kisiri. Siri kabisa napelekwa shule. Msichana asomi. Msichana akisoma atakuwa Mkristo. Hiyo zamani ndio alikuwa na believe. Msichana ukimpeleka shule anaweza kushika ile mambo ya Kikristo, asifuate ya dini. Nikapelekwa shule kisiri. Babangu ndo alimweleza yule my older grandmom, let her go to school. After few years akaacha shule. Mwenyewe nitamtoa. Ndio hiyo my older grandmama kakubali. Ndio nikapelekwa shule. Ili nikasoma shule for 3 years or 4 years nitolewe. Wanaita kutoka ujingani zamani ili upate tu kujua jina lako kuandika. Then my older grandmama passed away. Ndio mimi niendelea kusoma. Nikifika darasa la 7, hiyo before kwa mwisho standard 7. Nikifika darasa la 7 hapo tena nikaacha shule kuendelea. Nikaenda mambo kujifundisha. So iko hiyo tangu zamani. Ndio ikaenda polepole, lakini walikuwa wasichana wengi wasomeshwi. Watu wengi wanakataa mtoto wa kike ukimpeleka kusoma, anafanya nini? Mpaka mimi mwisho nilikuwa naenda zangu Ulaya. I'm going to London kwa sababu beauty nilishinda beauty. Nairobi Visions. Mzungu aliniona akanipenda where the figure was akanipenda. It was a midnight. Nyimbo iliyoimba ilikuwa ni all night long. Nichukuliwe hapo. Nilishinda juu jukwaa kwa mavazi. Niende Ulaya. My mom, she was crying. I'll be alone. Mamangu ana mtu alizaliwa peke yake. Hiyo ndio nikanifelisha kabisa moyo wangu na nikabaki Kenya. Now I was in Canada pengine or London. Niliapply Canada na nikapasi kwenda Canada na nikaitwa London.
So
unakuta vitu hivi, unakuta sengine wazazi wanaweza kulet down sana watoto wao. Leo mimi ningekuwa mbali sana, hata sister Amina singenipata. Aenda Canada au London. Yeah, because of my mom nilikaa. Na mtu usikatae kuwasomesha watoto wako. Leo mimi I'm the leader of the family. Mali yote naangalia mimi. Kila kitu ni mimi. Kama sikusoma, if I didn't learn, who will take care of the family? I'm the one who take care of my family.
What part are you playing? And then we go finish with you.
Okay, so for me, I think mine is not big like mom or her. Mine is a lot more smaller. It's really one client at a time. One client at a time, one marriage at a time, one brother or sister at a time. I think for me as a therapist, I find that for people who are unable to do the big things, you can also impact individually, one person at a time.
Yeah. One person at a time is enough. Because one person, if you do the therapy with her, she's whatever it is that she goes through, she will ripple it in her whole family.
Yeah. I wanted
Sorry.
to say something about when you talked about shame, secrecy, right? And really tuongeangi silence.
Silence. Yeah.
And you see, silence only thrives in places of shame. And what makes shame possible is people having a sense of keeping secrets, kuna kuongea, right? Having a sense of, they feel like they'll be judged. Do you know what I mean? Like someone is going to judge me, right? And just feeling that you're not enough. So you internalize that and you're unable to articulate yourself. Because shame is more of an inward. Si kama guilt. Guilt usually more outside. Shame ni kile unasikianga, oh, I am worthless, I'm not useful, I'm nobody, right?
Not Arab.
Okay.
Sorry.
So, I'm not Arab. Wait. Kwanza hiyo.
Baadaye imeniuma sana. Yeah.
Hiyo inaitwa ubaguzi wa ukabila.
Yeah.
Tribes.
Kabisa.
You want to close us off?
Sawa. And I think mostly hiyo shame pia inatokana na society. Kwa sababu, why do you make me feel like I'm not
I'm
enough?
less than.
Yeah.
That's another thing.
Yeah.
What was the question?
The question was, what part are you doing to break the silence or create safe spaces that were not there before?
Okay, I'm going to start with, I'm so grateful for my mom because she's given me that opportunity to explore what womanhood is and what femininity is. So, her giving me that opportunity, ameniachia kama kuniambia whatever you do, as long as it's in line with Islam, just do you.
Yeah.
And that freedom gave me the opportunity to speak out,
Yeah.
speak my thoughts and express myself. Na pia, I'm trying to give back to the community. That's why I'm studying social work and community development.
Yeah.
I'm trying to give back to the community. As you, I don't know if you know, but Old Town is a very rigid community. So I feel like maybe if it comes back, it comes from somebody from within the society,
community,
it's going to be accepted well.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm trying to do, to end the silence and the shaming and all that.
Yeah, break the generational gap. So, tumemaliza. Shukrani. Thank you. I'm so happy and I'm so grateful. Tumemaliza episode yetu. I hope you've enjoyed the conversation, and I hope you really, really felt like you were at home on our mat. If there's anything that we have said that you didn't feel addressed any of those concerns that we had about silences or stereotypes, Uarabu. I hope we all felt Pakistan. Yeah, I hope we all left it all on the mat. And karibuni sana tena. Hopefully, if we have another conversation, Mombasa County mtarudi. And yeah, thank you so much. Tutaonana baadaye.